Hello, this is CJ with the Move Push Men's Group, and it's July 4th weekend in the USA coming up. So we're a little late getting started, but Paul's with us and Kevin and Craig just popped on. So got a decent group. We'll go ahead and get started. Does anybody have something pressing or cutting edge interesting they want to start with?
Nope, it's been a dull week for me.
Pretty dull week, huh?
I've been thinking quite a bit about the what we were talking about last week, actually.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, just some thoughts that came into mind is it's a bit on the wacky side in some ways, but
Hmm.
is this a part of the planet just doing population control?
Um,
It's like
hmm.
it's like, the planet was on an uncontrollable population growth, and then and I don't know if this is related or not, but then there's quite a big gay movement which cuts down population, and now this.
Hmm.
You just wonder if it's the natural selection of you know reducing overpopulation.
That's interesting. One
I
would,
mean, that was just a weird, wacky thought that I had.
well, one would
Well,
think there'd be some kind of force, moving the population in that direction. I don't know if it's intentional, more of a result of current events, otherwise. The women's movement, hyperinflation, things like that. So, interesting though.
Well,
It
it is very
does,
expensive to have kids.
it is, and it,
that could all be part of a natural pendulum swing.
mhm.
Yeah, like cycles. I was thinking that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because some people bring up, without the knowledge, they'll say that we got to cut down or we're overpopulated. We're testing the resources, things like that. And, overpopulation, not so much, but testing resources probably still going on. Um, I'm
Well, there
familiar.
was that rat experiment where they set up the perfect environment for rats, and then the population kept getting bigger and bigger, and then they stopped procreating,
Hmm,
and then just fell all by itself.
hmm. Oh, that's a good point, though. Maybe this is
Ha-
a
Have
necessary balance.
Have you guys ever come across the hundredth monkey? Um, I don't know, theory or experiment, observation.
Don't
Has
know that
anyone
one.
heard of the hundredth monkey?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I don't think I ever heard about
Okay, so that was a situation where one monkey learnt to do a new activity, like peel a banana, for example. Um, and then he would start showing his friends how to do that, whatever the task was. He discovered how to do something. He, it, him, shim, um, and it's spread among the troop, um, and then they taught their children and blah blah blah, and then once it gets to 100 have learnt that skill, then suddenly other unrelated groups of monkeys start doing exactly the same thing. And
Hmm.
there's this theory that when something new comes along, once 100 people learn it, it then migrates through the population.
Hmm.
There's a book called The Hundredth Monkey, which I've actually got a copy of. And I'm sure it wouldn't be hard to research it and find the information about it. that's a very short synopsis of it, though.
Hmm.
But it's interesting that when and related to that thing last week. What did it have a name? That phenomenon?
What should we call that? The age of indifference?
Yeah,
The
well,
age of male indifference.
male indifference. So I'm wondering, it was very, very common. It was a very common thing in Japan a few years ago, and and they mentioned Japan, and then China's was a little bit different with the one child policy that the government had, and then all these kids grew up with only one child in the family, so they had a different thought about large families and everything else. And I'm just wondering if that's like the hundredth monkey effect kicking in on this as well. That, because it became popular in one place and then, it's jumped to Korea as well and becoming more common in other places.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if that's a sociological phenomenon, then that's probably worth considering or looking at or studying. Um, but I haven't heard of that applied to this issue with, lower relationships, marriages, childbirth, things like that.
I told you it was wacky when we started.
It's a little off. Yeah. Wacky. Okay.
The whole thing in China doesn't make sense to me at all, except maybe the guys growing up with such a shortage of women just decided from an early age, well, I don't stand a chance, and so they just gave up. But I think the women too.
Well, it's something like that. It's the issues going on in the Western world are just a little more exacerbated in China. So, and I don't want this Zoom call to be a female bashing situation, but women are different now than they were, when our parents and grandparents were men coming up. So, women have, for the most part, the ability, if they want to earn their own living. And so, that was a significant need for most women back in the day, would be to have a provider. Um, and with that, I have a topic that I thought was interesting. It came up, it's the same creator that I've been watching the last couple of weeks. It's the concept of financial celibacy. I think it kind of um, could be an issue. It's a deliberate period where someone avoids spending money on non-essential purchases in order to improve their financial situation. And a lot of men are opting to do this instead of date because, dating's been such a headache with dating apps and the high cost of going out and things like that. So that kind of more practical approach could tie into what Craig brought up with the whole world just making an adjustment to avoid overpopulation. We're going to deal with some underpopulation for a while. Unfortunately, it's going to be when we're old. So,
What do you mean when?
yeah, well, older. Um, a little worried that there won't be enough workforce to pay my Social Security or when and if I start taking that. But I'm not losing sleep over it. But I thought that was an interesting concept, financial celibacy. And it's just being really careful what you spend money on and avoiding dating can be one of those things. I'm not necessarily promoting that, but for men who are more focused on building something like a business or career, maybe the way to go when you're a young man.
That concept came, I first learned about that concept from Robert Kiyosaki with the
Ah,
Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he talks about doodads and spending money on doodads. In other words, things that
mm,
do nothing for your financial health.
Right.
And I got into the habit of being really careful about just spending money on just frivolous things that just do nothing. And that can be as much as buying your lunch on a regular basis when you could make it and take it. Um, and just, buying things that you don't really need. And of course, going out and alcohol are definitely big parts of that. And what I find interesting now is that I'm not in financial stress anymore, but I can't change that habit of being really tight.
Ah, okay. That's just part of your nature now.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that I found most freeing. I got to a point where I stopped buying stuff I didn't need, and I would go to like a huge supermarket or the mall, and I would walk out with nothing and realize, wow, look at that. I didn't buy any stuff I didn't need.
Hmm.
And it was like a great sense of satisfaction when I got to that point. And then
Yeah.
after I broke up with my girlfriend, I realized how much money I was saving on every front.
Yeah, I think that was the point of the financial celibacy video I listened to yesterday. Um, that you just save so much more money and you can redirect that money into your purpose. Also talks about time and energy, emotional bandwidth, things like that, that go into non-essential or not very useful endeavors, and claiming that to put more into your purpose, whatever that may be. So I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, it's freeing.
It is freeing, yeah. Can be. All right. Well, Craig had a wacky thought and I piled on. Anyone else have something to add on this or something else? Okay. Um, I think Craig brought up last week, and we just touched on it towards the end of our call. Um, perhaps chatting about the lack of privacy that we're dealing with in modern times, especially with all of our online communications, emails, joining websites, things like that. Um, I've pretty much decided the trade-off is worth it at this point, and just keep, private things way less accessible. Um, but I've pretty much realized that Facebook and Google are going to know a lot about me because I use those services and they're convenient. But
Yeah, well,
curious,
you weigh off the benefits versus the downside.
right?
Except right now we don't know the downside. Um,
Well, I
you
think
know,
we
I
know that our data is being sold or transacted with, whether by the company that's collecting it or sold to a third party. That's going on. It's mildly annoying to have all these ads, but it's kind of the price you pay for a free service. Um, but go ahead.
yeah. In the financial world, like in the past, we used cash,
Hmm.
and you could buy and spend and do anything you liked with cash, and no one really knew what you were doing. These days, cash almost doesn't exist, and the everything you do with your finances can be traced totally.
Hmm.
Like I was dealing with an exchange, and I moved some money from the exchange to Bybit to MetaMask, and they knew exactly where it had gone and what I'd done with it.
These are crypto exchanges, right?
Yes, yes. But the thing was, it was my money, and and they tracked it right down to what I spent it on
Hmm.
after it went through two different exchanges. And, and it just feels like, you can't do anything privately. And I
Mm-mm.
was talking to um, a customer this morning that I deal with, and she was in Australia, and she was talking about using a credit card to spend money without the tax department knowing. And I don't believe that that's a fact anymore. I don't think you can do anything because with AI, they can track the wallet numbers and track all this stuff so easily. In the past, they wouldn't have had the resources to do it. And so although it was technically trackable, they wouldn't have done it. These days, they could set up a bot to do it.
Yeah.
And
An
that
agent.
that's well, call it whatever you like.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be so easy to do that I don't think you'll be able to do anything privately.
I hate the places that don't take cash. That's how we get there. That's how,
Mm.
I mean, my wife and I were at a free concert in the park last week, put on by the town. Free concert in the park, and there's a great band there, and they're selling merch on the side there. And I had cash, and they were like, can you give us a card? And I was like, really? Thankfully I had exact change, and I was like, look, just take cash because I want the CD. Do you want the cash or not? Do you want to make the sale or not? And I had exact change, thankfully, but yeah, they weren't like expecting cash. They didn't want to take it, and I was like, no, that's legal tender.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're at.
Yeah, in the park, free. It's yeah, can't like give your cash away these days.
Well, I
Yeah.
just went through an interesting thing. I had my bank got sold, and
Mm,
I needed to make a payment to somebody and an ACH payment. So when I went to make it, there's a second app. You could go online and do it, but then they have a token app. Instead of using like Google Authenticator, they
hmm
have their own private thing. So just for security, I had the Authenticator app on my iPad and the banking app on my phone, and I didn't bring my iPad on this trip. And I couldn't do the transfer. And I went to look for the app, and this bank is international, but every country has their own app, and
mm,
they weren't clearly labeled. And there was some uh, question as to was the app under the name of the old bank or the new bank. So ultimately, what I had to do is use an ATM, and I had to make 7 different ATM withdrawals, bring the money into the States, put it into a bank account here, and then wire it there. And it got me thinking about the ATMs, how they snuck those in as free and got everybody used to using them. And now it was a $3.50 to $4 charge on every withdrawal I made just to get my own money. And then $50 to wire it back, you know, to what the country I just took it out of. And I'm saying like how often they do that to us. They start these insidious services and oh yeah, look how convenient it is, and then all of a sudden it's a fee to use it.
I think
Yeah.
probably a part of that is the evolution of no cash because ATMs were put in when we were in a cash world,
Mhm.
hmm
and now cash is disappearing. The cost of maintaining them is probably getting quite high
Plus, like you said, they can't
because
track
people
it.
aren't using them.
They don't want us using cash.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
well, there's that too. Yeah.
and everything's moving to the blockchain. So everything will be, totally traceable very shortly.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, when we all went to the blockchain in the first place, we thought it was privacy.
right.
Exactly.
I was watching a movie a couple days ago, American Made, Tom Cruise playing a pilot who's essentially running drugs from U.S. to South America, and he was making so much money in cash he didn't know where to put it. He was digging holes in his yard and putting it there, and it was the tone of the movie was that cash was a burden.
Well, it is. Yeah.
And of course, this was back in the '80s when the story was set, but I just thought I just was amused by it. That, cash is such a burden.
I live in Miami, so yeah, they would
Mm,
just have duffel bags full of cash that they would, pull up to the bank in an SUV and just unload all these duffel bags.
mm. Well, then they changed the law on that. Any more than 10,000 is a report or something like that to the.
I think it's
Yeah,
even lower now.
Yeah, probably could
Yeah.
be.
You go and try and
I
buy
think it,
a new car with cash. It's almost impossible.
Mm,
You got
I
to prove where it came from, and it's just a nightmare.
yeah, 20 years ago I did that. I went to buy a couple of cars with cash, and they made me go get cashier's checks.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those were the days, my boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, long gone.
Well, we've traded, that privacy for convenience. So it is easier to carry around one card than duffel
Well,
bag full of cash.
you don't even need the card. You just
Yeah,
need a
use your
phone.
phone. Yeah.
And the convenience is wonderful. Like it's so nice being able to just log into your bank and check all your transactions and make your payments. And, like the convenience is absolutely wonderful. Um, and that's why we're so willing to give up our privacy.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
Well, I still use cash as much as I can, but it was interesting being in Europe. I used the card the whole time, and I was thinking, Jesus, this is wonderful. I don't even have to think about tipping because I just flash the card, tap the card, and whatever number's there is there. But in America, you can't just tap the card. You have to put no tip and then enter.
Mm. Even if you're buying a sandwich at Jimmy John's or something, they. Yeah, that's American tip culture. Ugh. Well, we're kind of on a rant here, guys. That's okay. Um, well, I live in a country that's mostly cash. They don't they don't use cards, but I find myself going to a place that'll accept my Wise card um, because I don't always have cash. So, and then I see Paul lives in the Philippines, and they're very cash centric there. So some countries are still sticking with it, but don't know how long that'll last.
What I find interesting is I never use cash anymore. So I don't even carry cash. I don't even have a wallet anymore. I have my phone and I carry one bank card in it just in case, um, under the cover, and never have any money. And it's quite interesting when the beggars come to the car window or outside the shops. You just don't have any money to give them. I haven't seen any of them that take FPOS yet.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that to happen. Oh, okay, here's my you scan this. That's
Oh, Craig, I think you're leaving yourself open to a major catastrophe. I
mm,
had my phone pickpocketed a couple of years ago.
oof.
And, just as a word to the wise, have another have a little bit of cash and some extra cards stashed at the house.
Oh, I've
Just
got the cards at home. Yeah, it's just
oh, okay.
when I go out, I just take a phone and I have just I basically have a bus card and my one bank card, and
Right. Okay.
and most of the time I don't spend any money anyway. But
Mm.
but yeah, if I'm traveling overseas, definitely know to split stuff up and have a bit of cash and yeah, all that stuff. Yeah, my
Yeah.
son learned that lesson very well. He was in the Philippines and he dropped his wallet in the minibus that was taking them somewhere and lost it and didn't have backups. And it was a nightmare getting replacements and
Mm.
emergency cash and all that stuff.
Yeah. It goes south real quick.
Yeah, so he learned a valuable lesson on that one. Although mum and dad told him to do that,
Mhm.
he didn't listen.
Some
Yeah,
lessons you need to learn by yourself.
true.
Learn it the hard way. Okay. I sent an email to the group a couple weeks ago, and then we didn't really talk about the topic. Robert from our group, who will join us from time to time, had a thoughtful response. I think I'm going to summarize it here. Talks about the difference between blame and responsibility. So kind of moving this over to more of the accountability portion of our group. And the email I sent contained this statement. When I look at the people who create meaningful results in business and in life, they're not always the most talented or most fortunate. More often, they're the people who focus relentlessly on what they can control and influence. And the topic was, I probably should have led with this, the difference between blame and responsibility. A lot of times, if in our lives, if something isn't our fault, we say, I'm not responsible for that. That wasn't my fault. But if it happens in the context of your business and it's not your fault, what do you do? Um, and Robert, being a business owner, wrote back, what I learned a long time ago, doesn't matter if it was your responsibility or not. If it's affecting your desired outcome, you need to deal with it. What I learned in life or business, nobody wants excuses, just results. So I hadn't really thought of it that way. But that's probably the best approach. And a lot of us own businesses or we're contractors, and things are going to go wrong that are outside our control. What do we do with that? And I think good policy is to apologize to the customer and then do what you can to fix it, even if it's not your fault. So I thought that was an interesting subject and worthwhile in our group to discuss. I'm curious if you guys have had anything like that come up recently, or maybe not even recently, but where you were essentially taking responsibility for something not your fault and then trying to fix the problem. Um, Craig and I kind of do that in our jobs every day.
I was trying not to mention that. That since you have, I
Mhm.
think that's what makes our service. People just comment endlessly about it's the best support service they get online
Mhm.
anywhere. And I think it's that attitude that we have
Mhm.
towards making it right, even if it's not our fault. And that happens frequently because people are often asking us for help for packages, software packages, or um, exchanges or wallets that aren't even our responsibility,
Mhm.
and we help them anyway,
Yeah, and then a
where
lot of
where we
times,
can.
yeah, a lot of times they haven't followed the instructions correctly and screwed it up. So we've got to come in and kind of help them
Yeah,
save it. But like you said, they love um, the service. And I think generally in business, if you help somebody out, who screwed something up, whether it was their fault or somebody else's, they're going to love you for it. So I think it's really worth the effort in both your business and personal life, to have that that mindset, that approach.
That actually brings us on to something that could be quite interesting is I find a lot of people don't like admitting they've made a mistake,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I've always worked on the policy of, if I made a mistake, I'll say I made a mistake. I'm sorry, and can I fix it, or how can we fix it?
Mhm.
But there does seem to be a group of people that just cannot acknowledge they made a mistake and
And
try
most,
and pass it on.
Yeah, I've seen this too. I said it yesterday to my girlfriend. Oh my. Mm.
as being self-employed almost my entire life, I always just assume it's my fault. When it goes south, there's nobody to blame. So my approach out of necessity has been, well, how do we fix it?
Yeah, well,
Um,
as humans, we make mistakes, mistakes get made, whether
mm,
intentionally or accidentally or whatever, mistakes happen. And
Yep.
I remember as an apprentice, I was told the only real mistake is the one that can't be fixed.
mm,
So as long as you can fix it, it's not really a mistake. It's a learning experience.
right.
they
That's a pretty good spin.
The best the best teams I've worked on, yeah, blame was, not really a thing because it was about taking responsibility and, like you said, doing what's right for the customer.
Mm,
When they have that attitude, blame really has no place then because it has no value really.
it's not useful.
Um,
Mhm.
right. So those are the best teams I've ever worked on.
Mm.
All right, good stuff. Fix the problem. Yeah. I am guilty of sometimes offering an explanation of why it went wrong, and and
That's
then saying
valid.
that's just an explanation. I'm not saying that's an excuse.
It
But
But
helps
it
you
is,
learn, helps you
yeah,
grow
yeah,
when you
but
know
it
what
is
went
an
wrong.
excuse. At the
it
end of the
kind of
day, it
is.
is an
Yeah,
excuse.
yeah,
It's trying to shift the blame.
yeah. So I'm gonna have to police myself on that. All right. Well,
How are
we
you
are.
doing with your book reading?
Um,
Attaboy.
speaking of accountability, I finished my book yesterday.
Oh,
Woo!
well
Nice.
done.
Congrats.
Yes, so it was a pretty good book too. It's a novel and an exciting story. So I find myself in a non-English speaking country, in the need of a new book, and I prefer a book. I don't like really reading off, a tablet for my, um, entertainment reading. And
Yeah,
I
enough
tend
screen
to,
time, right?
yeah, and I tend to listen to, um, self-help kind of things, but maybe I should read one of those books. So I was at the mall yesterday, and I should have. Most malls have a bookstore, and then most bookstores, even here, have a few English-speaking books or in the English language. So I should have checked, but I didn't. So I'm gonna do that this weekend. Go back to the mall and find find a new book. So I can't bum books off my dad anymore. He and my mom are voracious readers, so he's got their guest room, in which I usually stay, has multiple bookcases of books that I can choose from. So then we have a few authors that we both like, and um,
Now, here's an idea for you.
okay,
When I was in Japan, there was I think it was the City International. council or society or whatever they called them ran a book library with foreign books,
Mm.
like it was a free library, a more like an op shop than a library, but they'd have a collection of foreign books. There might be something similar in Thailand
Yeah, that's a good idea.
because a lot of people want foreign books to learn the language or to,
Right. Mhm.
to improve their speaking in the language and
Mhm.
whatnot. And
Right. And I think
that's
that's why they
often a
have
part of
yeah, they have an English
part of it.
section. Yeah.
Yeah, and a part of like often there's an international or an English speaking society or group or things like that. So you might be able to tap into some English books without necessarily having to pay retail.
And we all like avoiding retail, so
Yeah.
as we established earlier in this broadcast.
A lot of hostels have
Yes, yes,
no
that's another
books,
source.
Mm,
and where I live, there's two used bookstores, so
mm,
that makes it a little. At the hostels, you drop one, take one,
yeah,
but
yeah, I've seen that too.
I would guess Bangkok has. I don't know how often you get up there, but
Uh,
you
I'll
know,
yeah, I'll be at
must have.
their airport in a week or two, but you
Well, they
guys
won't have
around,
that at the airport.
yeah, they won't have that at the airport. Nothing of value sells or exchanges at an airport. But but these are good suggestions. I will run a few Google searches, see what I can find. All right. So yes, my 10 days or 10 pages per day reading is was complete. So now I've got to do something with my workout. So I went back to the gym starting on Monday.
Oh, he's back.
Okay, I'm back. My internet dropped.
Yeah,
The recording stopped, so I guess it's a valid place
Yep.
to end the recording.
All right, I'm back. Anyway, yeah, I went back to the gym. I kept injuring myself with the military calisthenics workout because I don't really control it. I'm doing somebody else's workout. So, at the gym I can create my own. So that seemed to be a pretty good argument to go back to the gym. And then I thought, well, I'll speed this up. My doctor said I could do the HIIT workouts, the high intensity training, as long as, I don't have a, you know, heart rate going out of control or anything like that. So, be careful with it. So I tried that, and then my workout on Wednesday was like an hour and a half. It's like, I don't want to be here this long. So I'm gonna go back starting today to just doing one set of each exercise to failure, kind of like circuit training. But you do the um the exercise to failure, and that's supposed to be a good way to um, get an efficient workout in, build a little cardio and strength training at the same time. So I don't know if any of you guys work out like that, but that's how I used to work out before I had my stroke a couple years ago. And then the doctor said, "Nah, you probably shouldn't do that anymore." But I miss it,
so
so because I
why
just don't.
can't you,
Yeah, I don't like working out. I want to get it over with.
why can't you control the military calisthenics?
Well, I guess I could. I did tweak some of them. Some of the exercises I left out or modified, but it goes so fast that it's difficult to do. And plus I got a
What is
small space to do it
it?
in, so I think I just like the gym better anyway. Here anyway,
Is,
at
is it
least.
like a recording that you
Yes,
follow?
yes.
Uh, gotcha.
So, oh, and it's expensive.
So the drill start,
Yeah. So I think it's $19
so
to
the drill
join.
sergeant's your phone, is it?
Yeah, it's on my phone. So it was $19 and then it went up to $39. So that's way more than the gym costs. And I don't want to spend that much on this. So And that was the other factor. So, um, and it just hurt because it was, messing with my shoulder. Oh, had a new injury too. I pulled a calf muscle, and anyway, so I didn't have any of these problems with the gym. So I'm gonna go back, and so far so good. But I did like the military workout on my phone for travel. When I went and visited my uncle, and I was with my parents in the U.S., and it was easy to do a quick workout, using that there. So I still have the workout on my phone, at least the old one. I can keep doing that. I think the monthly charge is for new exercises, so I can just keep doing the old one when I need to.
Right.
Yeah.
The New York Times has a number of exercise articles with illustrations and discussions. I don't know if you subscribe to that or how much. I know some of it's free, I, but I don't know what's available. But
That's a good idea. I'll make a note of that. So, and then I save workouts off of Facebook and YouTube as well. And I use those for the exercise snacks I was talking about a couple of weeks ago. So I'm still doing those a couple times a day. I'm doing more walking than resistance. It's about half and half. It's good to, after sitting for 2 hours, get up and move around. So move it and push it. All right.
I'm, I'm just the opposite. If I work out, then I said, okay, I don't have to feel guilty about sitting on my ass the whole rest of the
Well, the workout's way better than nothing, but sitting for 2, 4, 8, 10 hours is not healthy and not what our bodies were designed to do. So, you got to move around, do something.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I have the
Okay.
gravity chair, and when I get into it, it's like hard to get out.
Understood.
Nap.
I'm just trying to be an encouragement. So,
Oh yeah, no, I understand.
all right.
At o'clock in the morning, I'm having coffee. The next thing I know, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and the alarm is saying go to
mm,
bed.
mm. All right. Well, we're at about 40 minutes. Shall I wrap this up and we'll move on to our more private time? All
Sure.
right.
Yep.
So we will, as we've been doing the last few weeks, so we'll turn the recording off now and then stick around to talk about more personal stuff that we don't want the world to know. So that'll be phase 2 of our Zoom call. So if you're watching on the recording, appreciate that. Much rather see you
And you have
live.
to come and be live.
Yeah. And you do have to be live for the
Come live to get the juicy stuff.
yeah. Craig's marketing this Zoom better than I am. So all right, we'll stop it here. We'll see you next week. Bye.